I don't know. I don't have to keep an eye on them. They're adults now. You got 4 minutes yet.
4 minutes? No, it's 7:01.
Not on my watch.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Whatever you want to do. You're the chief. Who are we missing? We're missing
Veronica's not going to be here.
okay.
So,
Milkovich,
just right
Kilby.
there. You got everything.
Where's Milkovich and Kilby? Milkovich and Kilby.
They're always here. Exactly.
When your councilmen get here, hurry up, start the video, kind of maps. Start, you're not going to see. Come on, Mario.
You ready to roll?
I'm ready.
We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. Clerk will read the roll.
Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
For those who voluntarily wish to do so, will you please stand at this time as we are led in prayer by Pastor Jimmy Rogers. Immediately following our prayer, we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to ask if Councilwoman Samples will be so kind to do that for us.
Thank you, City Council President. I'd like to also introduce my guests that are here with me, Pastor Timothy Rajan from India, Pastor Jim, and Brother Dustin. Let's bow. Father, we thank you, God of heaven, for being with us at another council meeting. We ask, Lord, that you would touch from the crown of our heads to the sole of our feet every person in this place. Help us to be instructed by your wisdom and your guidance. We give you victory, we give you honor, and we praise your name. It is in Jesus' name that we pray. Thank God. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam President, I might also want to say thank you to the wonderful council people that came to celebrate me and my anniversary. Councilwoman Amobian, Councilwoman Keith, and Councilwoman Sims. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Pastor Rogers. At this time, clerk will read the minutes from our previously held meeting.
Minutes from the November 4th, 2019 meeting. Council convened a regular session at 7 p.m. with President Somerville in the chair. All members were present except Keith, later excused. Minutes of the previous regular meeting were approved by a vote of 11-0. Neal abstained. Reading of petitions and communications, passage of the consent agenda, report of the standing and special committees, passage and referral of new ordinances and resolutions, representation from various departments and divisions, public speaking period, no further business on a motion by Keith. Council adjourned at 7:30 p.m. to reconvene a regular session on November 18th, 2019, or a special call.
Any corrections or additions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and one abstention.
Okay.
Letters, petitions, and communications.
Petition of Anthony Messina, doing business as CICC LLC, for conditional use to construct an apartment building in and the sale of city-owned land at 268 Wheeler Street and 449 and 453 Allen Street.
File.
Petition of Mary Dozier for a conditional use to establish a child daycare business center at 927 North Portage Path.
File.
Petition of John Carra for a conditional use to place an outdoor advertising display billboard at 475 East North Street.
File.
Notice of a new C1, C2 liquor permit to Dolgen Midwest LLC, doing business as Dollar General Store at 2569, 1529 South Main Street.
Special attention, Councilman Kamer.
Correspondence from the Ohio EPA regarding Akron City PWS Plan of Approvals Classification.
File.
Correspondence from Vicki Armstrong regarding the homeless concerns.
File.
Correspondence regarding pending legislation for summer sprinkle rates.
File.
Notice of a new C1, C2 liquor permit to AK Global LLC, doing business as the Koshai General Store at 1785 Britton Road.
Special attention, Councilman Kilby. This evening, we have no items on the consent agenda. We do have 3 items that are up for public hearing. So at this time, we just want to ask if there's anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak on any of our 3 public hearings, if you'll please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by a member of our law department.
If you would, please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do. Thank you.
Okay, first public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, November 18th, 2019, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in Akron City Council Chambers 166 South High Street on an ordinance authorizing conditional use to place an outdoor advertising display at 1025 South Broadway.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. CMI Holdings is requesting permission to place an electronic outdoor advertising sign on the building facade. The single-face electronic message center style advertising display is proposed to be mounted on the building's northern elevation. The display board would contain 656 square feet of area. The high-resolution sign will be visible to traffic traveling along I-76, I-77, which is over 1,200 feet north of the site. The sign will also be visible to traffic traveling along South Main. Petitioner has stated the purpose of the sign is to advertise business offerings, primarily for the tenants of the building. Public service messages could also be displayed. The petitioner has made significant improvements to this 100-year-old building, and the modern wall-mounted electronic display will help promote the businesses within the building, thus further enhancing the property and the neighborhood's viability without detracting from the appearance of the area. The sign was approved by Urban Design and Historic Preservation Commission, and both Office of Integrated Development staff and Planning Commission recommend approval, subject to conditions.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this ordinance? We're just going to ask if you can approach the podium. Please give us your name and your address.
Michael Collins, 2318 Lancaster Road, Akron, Ohio. My name is Michael Collins. I own the building at 1025 South Broadway. The reason I would like to place a sign on the building is because we have 3 tenants who would benefit significantly. The largest tenant is Construction Mechanics. At present, we do over $13 million in sales. Our Akron office does $2.5 million in sales per year. This is entirely payroll, so we contribute significantly to the payroll tax department for the city. Our other offices have contractors that work in Akron that also contribute to the city. Calculating about what that is, somewhere around $50,000 to $60,000 per year that we contribute into payroll tax. This is my business, and the sign would benefit CMI and its affiliates immensely because we recruit heavily for the construction industry. We recruit for contractors, we recruit electricians, plumbers, laborers, just anything connected with construction. My other tenant is Autometrics. They sell laser cutting machines that cuts all types of fabric, including leather, vinyl, denim, and the like. The other business, the future business that we're going to ask to go in there is Broadway Self-Storage. It's going to be a climate-controlled storage facility. A sign would benefit all these businesses, helping them grow and contribute to the tax rolls of the city and the county. The following is in our opinion, the following is the benefit for the city and the county. The real estate tax will increase as the property value will increase through constant improvement. Sales tax will grow constantly as sales grow. Payroll tax will grow as we do a higher volume of sales from the 3 companies that presently occupy the building, or will occupy the building. As we know, advertising creates opportunities that create capital that we pay a taxable portion of to the city and to the county. As for our location, we are in a very heavy industrial area. To our south, there are 3 vacant lots. To our north, there are 2 large vacant lots and thigh curb. Behind us are railroad tracks and McNeil NRM. I have invested over $1 million over a period of 5 years in this property. When I bought this property, people referred to it as the see-through building because you could see through it from the north to the south and vice versa. The police routinely visited this property because of drug use and vagrants constantly occupying it. I have taken a blighted building and created a place for commerce and trade to take place. I have been a lifelong resident of Akron, and I have a very good track record of improving residential and commercial properties in Akron. What I'm asking for is a sign that would directly contribute to tax revenue for the city and the county and would increase business profits for the occupants of the building. I see this as a win-win for all concerned. And I and the occupants of the building ask we be approved to install this sign. And I thank you for the chance to advocate for this improvement.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else here in the audience that wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak against? Anyone here that wishes to speak against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
Thank you, President Somerville. I would like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Mobian, Kamer, Neal, Swirsky.
Aye.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. This is, the petitioner has agreed. There's 4 conditions that have been placed on this conditional use request. This is, in fact, a bit larger than what we typically approve. However, though, given the fact that it is, it can be viewed from the expressway, kind of puts it in a bit of a different category. However, it's important to note that the Ward Council representative is in support of this. The Urban Design and Fine Arts Commission approved this as well, and the Planning Department. So given that, we'd like to move forward on this.
Okay, thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Somerville, Swirsky. Public hearing number 2. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, November 18, 2019, during a regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in Akron City Council Chambers, 166 South High Street, for an ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct a storage building at 1079 Himmelwright Avenue.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President. Terrell Thomas is proposing to construct a pole barn storage building on the vacant property while they continue to live at their residence, which is across the street. The proposed building will measure 36 feet by 24 feet for a total of 864 square feet, and is constructed with wood framing, aluminum siding, and shingled roof. Petitioner stated that he needs a storage building for storage of his vehicles instead of letting them remain outside. While the petitioner's desire to use the property for residential storage is understandable, allowing the garage on the vacant property without a house could create a future conflict in land use, as the storage use could become more commercial in nature in this residential neighborhood. Furthermore, it would set a negative precedent and perhaps be disruptive for adjacent property owners and out of character with the neighborhood. As the city has made new residential construction a priority, the planning staff feels the highest and best use of the property would be for the development of 1 or 2 single-family homes. Both Office of Integrated Development staff and Planning Commission recommend disapproval.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone here that wishes to speak against? Anyone here that wishes to speak against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. I'd like to pull the committee for favorable report with suspension of the rules. Amobian? Kamer? Neal? Swirsky?
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. We had heard that the planning department recommended disapproval. However, I know the ward council representative had discussion with some of the neighbors. So, as a matter of fact, one of the neighbors came down this afternoon during our public hearing and testified that they believe that this would be a good use for this particular property. Also, it's important to note that within the 4 conditions that the petitioner has agreed to, one of them reads that the structure is only used for residential purposes only. So therefore, if they do become non-compliant, then this would be lifted, the conditional use. So based on that, recommend approval this evening.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Somerville, Swirsky. The third and final public hearing tonight. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, November 18th, 2019, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in Akron City Council chambers at 166 South High Street on an ordinance authorizing conditional use to establish counseling services and offices at 1601 South Main Street.
Mr. Antonucci.
Madam President, members of council, the Interval Brotherhood Home Foundation, IBH, proposes to establish this site as offices and as a community building for their organized, peer-based aftercare program and for outpatient counseling. The site will provide IBH with a permanent location where they can utilize the building for their REACH project, which uses counselors and support personnel for their clinical outreach programs. The project will not include any residential housing and would be limited to normal business hours. The building will not require any major renovations. The 9,500 square foot building has been vacant for about a year and should be conducive for continued use as the office site and clinical outreach programs. The facility was originally constructed in 1958 by Firestone Tire as a community building and was subsequently used by the Boy Scouts for their offices. The foundation intends to install additional landscaping and a 6 feet in height privacy fence between their parking area and abutting residences. The use of the building for the IBH Foundation as offices and a community building should have a positive impact upon the surrounding area. Both Planning Commission and Office of Integrated Development recommend approval, subject to the conditions.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this ordinance?
Good evening. My name is Tom Haskins. I am a member of the foundation board of IBH Foundation. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. IBH, as Mr. Antonucci has indicated, is a nonprofit corporation that has served the community for a number of years. As part of that program, they've established what they refer to as the REACH program, R-E-A-C-H. The intention of the REACH program is to facilitate people that have positively graduated, so to speak, from the program at IBH, and in their involvement in becoming more a member of the community and to continue their kind of obligations to themselves as far as sobriety and the opportunity to carry that on to the community itself. The REACH program, as Mr. Antonucci said, is a non-residential facility. It will constitute kind of a permanent location. Right now, they operate out of the IBH Center out on South Main Street, but they also have used churches in the area and locations so that the group that now constitutes the pier are able to meet and to converse. I submitted some programs earlier, and the number of volunteer hours that REACH has been successful and the percentage of recovery that's sustained is substantial and is far in excess of any of the other programs that we're aware of. I would ask that it be approved. We have, we're in the process of putting together a landscape plan, which I think would be important for the neighborhood. We're in the process of working with planning in order to get that completed. Mr. John Wiley is the executive director of IBH, and he also appeared earlier today, and I think he would like to address you as well, if that'd be all right with council.
Yes, absolutely.
Madam President, members of council, my name is Jonathan Wiley, 2367 Amesbury Road, Akron. I am the executive director at IBH Addiction Recovery Center, and I appreciate your time in letting us present to you tonight. In addition to what Mr. Haskins had to report out, I just kind of like to emphasize really what's going on at IBH. As you know, we are a long-term residential treatment provider that's been on South Main, and we are actually going to get ready to celebrate our 50th anniversary next year. But we also know, even though that's been very successful, that in order to continue being successful and support this community, we need to branch out from what we do now. And in addition to just residential services, it's within our strategic business plan to broaden the continuum of care that we provide for clients and for citizens of Akron and Summit County and the surrounding northeast region of Ohio. Basically, what we want to do is two things with this new facility. Mr. Haskins mentioned the REACH program. I won't say a lot about that other than the fact that one of their core tenets is community service. They've already performed a number of community service projects throughout Akron and Summit County, including the Firestone Park area, and we will continue to emphasize that location as well to be the best neighbor that we can be. The second piece of what we're going to be using this facility for is outpatient programming. So it's our hope that the clients who are at IBH who successfully complete treatment at IBH and who need further outpatient treatment beyond the residential treatment they receive from us, that we'll be able to use this center to hold on to those clients, if you will, longer. We know that the longer we can keep clients engaged in treatment, the better chance they have for recovery. So that's really our ultimate goal. With that, pending any questions, I request your approval.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak against? Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to pull committee for favorable report, suspension of the rules. Movian. Kamer. Neal. Swirsky.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. I know the ward council representative, Mr. Gamer, has worked quite a bit with the petitioner in reference to ensuring that the landscaping is going to comply with the neighborhood and be suitable. A lot of concern has been brought forward to Mr. Capron. Working with the planning department and the petitioner, I'm sure we're going to be able to find something that's suitable for the neighborhood. Given that, this is a very good reuse of this existing structure. We recommend approval this evening.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amovian, Samples, Somerville, Swirsky.
Councilman Fusco, what is your pleasure on the rest of the agenda?
Yes, time on 4 through and including 7.
Time will be granted.
Request committees to file 8.
Item number 8 will be filed.
Time on 9.
Time will be granted.
File 10. And then the committee request time on 11 through and including 13. And then file 14. And then time on the balance.
Time will be granted. We'll now move into the rest of our old business, rules. Councilperson Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. We would like time, the committee would like time on number 1. On number 2, the sponsor has withdrawn that.
Okay.
So that could be withdrawn. And time on number 3.
All right, time will be granted. Public Utilities, Councilperson Samples.
Thank you, Madam President. Time, please.
Time will be granted. We'll now move into new legislation.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Item number 1, offered by Freeman. Ordinance providing for the temporary appropriation for current expenses and other expenditures in the capital outlays of the City of Akron for a period of January 1st, 2020 through March 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Refer.
this item will be referred.
Item number 2, offered by Mayor Horrigan. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a grant agreement with the County of Summit for the Akron Rubber Worker Commemorative Statue, authorizing the mayor to expend the funds received in accordance with the grant agreement and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Committee's report's favorable. We are asking for suspension of the rules.
any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This will allow the city to receive a $25,000 grant from Summit County, and this will serve as a portion of the statue that's going to be placed on the roundabout. They have commissioned someone to do that statue. We'll be providing, through this grant, kind of a foundation and whatnot for that statue to be on, like I say, at the roundabout that's being constructed on Main. And with that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amovian, Samples, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 3, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing the sale of certain city-owned property pursuant to the city's Allot for a Little program in order to facilitate the productive reuse of the properties and to reduce the cost to the city and the taxpayers in maintaining vacant lots, determining said property is not needed for public use, and declare an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Consent agenda?
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 4, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing purchase of 55 Glendale Avenue for the land banking project and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Consent agenda?
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 5, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing purchase of various interests in the real property located on or around Canton Road to facilitate the completion of Summit 91 Canton Road Market Street project. Authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into related agreements, authorizing payment for the same and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Consent agenda?
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 6, offered by Swirsky. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute a relocation grant agreement with Premier's LLC to support job creation in the city of Akron and declare an emergency.
Councilman Swirsky.
The committee recommended consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda. We will now go to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. If you wish to speak to council during this time, we're going to ask that you please approach the podium. We're going to ask that you please sign in, give us your name and your address. You will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. Speakers are reminded that this is an official meeting. Remarks should be kept respectful and germane to council business. Speakers should refrain from making any personal attacks. Anyone who breaches decorum will be ruled out of order and may be removed from council chambers. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to speak during our public comment period? You may approach the podium.
My name is Willie Smith. I live at 225 Chittenden. Last name is spelled S-M-I-T-H. This is about our community centers and recreation centers. I was doing a little thinking out of the box here to enhance Akron's population growth and economic opportunity growth and the city's income tax base growth by investing in esports gaming. Esports gaming consists of a conglomeration of computer vision games that allows he or she the leisure of expanding their horizons, making new friends and associates near and abroad the globe through computer networking gaming. Our communities are melting pots of people of various nationalities and people of many walks of life. And like flowers, skins of various pigmentations, Caucasian and people of color, yet we are united. The University of Akron is national varsity esports gaming champions. Akron, let's keep it alive. We are an all-American city. Esports gaming can become an economic stimulus for the city. Esports gaming opens up such opportunities as college scholarships, professional paid gaming opportunities, and self-gratification of gaming achievements. Esports gaming at our city recreation centers and community learning centers would enhance the features and characteristics of our city centers. By features, meaning outstanding marketed properties that attract people and their attention. By characteristics, meaning a distinguishing mark of quality and usage of facility comes to mind of people that visit and participate within. City Council and Mayor, Cabinet Administration, it's time to innovate, be a little more creative in order to keep our competitive edge with other municipalities.
Thank you for sharing, Mr. Smith.
Pastor Greg Harrison, 670 Vernon Odom Boulevard, Akron, Ohio. I want to bring back this water issue. I want to first thank Councilwoman Tara Samples for pushing that we can watch committee meetings online. It's wonderful. But I want to bring us back to this narrative of sewer rates. Equity, equality. 7, 8, 9 years ago, we were talking about how did we get the calculations for the rate. We were talking about how are we going to account for the money. We were talking about if the money's set aside, you pay this much for water, you pay this much for sewer, how will we know that the people are being charged fairly? We were having those conversations. We weren't talking about how do we give people breaks. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be talking about how do we give people more bang for their buck, but I'm saying that we need to be talking about it in light of priorities. Why can't we pick up those conversations? If the rate is unfair, let's go back to the conversation, how did we get the rates? But when you try to give people a break, and you're not trying to be fair to everybody, not fairer, just fair. I heard some great comments tonight, and none more splendid to me than Councilman Kamer. If you cannot tell me that you're not going to raise my water, you need to be able to tell me that whatever you come up with, you need to be able to say your water will not go up, Pastor. Because I need to be able to tell some of the people in my congregation. I need to be able to let them know that we're still fighting so you can pay your water bill. We need to be able to do that. The school is struggling. We may have to have a school levy. Can we afford everything? And I'm just asking the council, I'm not saying that one is good and one is not good. But before you do anything with the water, please be able to tell me that my water is not going up. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Harrison.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm Carol Coleman Crane with Team Towing and Service on Carroll Street. I'm in the early months of 2016. I met with City Council regarding being included in the Akron Police Department districts for providing towing. I was told that there were no written contracts and to meet with the Planning Commission in order to get my impound lot approved. I was able to meet all the city requirements and my lot was approved for impounds in April of 2016. Since that time, I have consistently attended City Council meetings. I have asked to be included with providing service to the Akron Police for towing. Since that time, I've been able to add and provide towing to Ohio Highway Patrol, as well as to the United States Postal Service. I have spoken to you all regarding the current structure of our districts, and I have been able to send you all and also bring a copy of the map showing all the districts, the 7 districts where Akron is structured. And I've also been able to show you a map of the Ohio Highway Patrol and also their agreement that I have with them. And I've also made you all aware of the 7 districts in the Akron that it's separated by. 2 of the towing companies have 2 districts each. One of those districts is in Ward 5, where my business is located. I have studied other surrounding counties and provided examples of what I thought was the least invasive inclusion for all towing companies involved. I've met with many of you, and I've encouraged you to ask me questions or to bring any concerns that you would have to my attention, that maybe some questions you have that I could answer. Since there are no contracts and there's no written agreement, no promissory note, no binding city council to the current structure, I'm curious as to why I have had so much opposition to changing and being added to the current system. The city of Akron has made a lot of progress over the last few years with the goal of it to encourage small minority business owners to branch out and to meet with other entrepreneurs. I'm routinely invited to different events in the city. This one is the 4th annual Get Linked for diversity business mixers, the annual event in the spring that I go to, and it'll be, they're always attended by numerous sponsors and committee members who speak regarding, I'm getting messed up here. The event will be attended by numerous sponsors and committee members who also attended and spoke at the Greater Akron Summit Business Conference. That's the one in the spring. And many of them talk about inclusion and fair and equitable distribution among the city of Akron. And I've gotten to know many people of the speakers, and a lot of them are very encouraging to me and ask me how things are going. Lastly, I'd like to say thank you all and say that Team Towing is also donating a tree to the Children's Hospital Tree Festival. So I'd like to encourage all of you to come down and see our tree.
Thank you, Mrs. Crane.
Good evening. Thanks for this opportunity. I'm Betty Zager, 175 Oak Park Drive, Apartment 1, Akron 44302, Ward 1. I would ask that we pass this. I've timed this so many times, but I'll read very fast, as you're accustomed to my doing. If I run out, at least you'll have a copy of my remarks. In my remarks to City Council at the meetings of September 9th and 23rd, 2019, I called attention to any response from organizations as well as city government to the Beacon Journal article of October 29th, 2018, citing Elevate Akron's report, Akron's Black Population Excluded from Economic Opportunity. A summit at Quaker Station in downtown Akron on Thursday, September 12th, 2019, made the case to local leaders that, among other things, employers of all sizes need to be more inclusive in their hiring and sourcing. A top goal is to strengthen and tap the talents of the region's largely economically excluded Black population. At that conference, Steve Millard, Chamber President and CEO, said that as an area, we got to this present condition over generations. This is something that is going to take a while to fix. One of the focuses of the conference was minority hiring and minority-owned businesses. Thursday, November 14th, 2019, the Bounce Innovation Hub held its first startup showcase, an opportunity for fledgling companies to make connections and for Bounce to show off its resources. In the subsequent follow-up article, results showed that Bounce helped 15 fledgling businesses network with potential investors, customers, and mentors. I personally want to thank Councilperson Russ Neal and Council at Large Linda Movian for attending that evening's conference. I know how busy they are. Today I spoke with Janine Black, Chief Marketing Officer of the Bounce Innovation Hub. She said Bounce had done a lot of work this year to address the minority business issue. The organization is a state-funded organization, and the stipulations are quite strict. One state guideline is that the majority focus of Bounce should lie with technology companies, an area that is not plentiful within the Black-owned companies. This year, Bounce searched for funding to support non-tech startups and small businesses, which include many minority-owned businesses as well as those headed by women. Of the 15 businesses at the showcase last week, there were 3 out of 15 that were African-American, that had African-American women heading them. It was Alpha and Omega Community Center by Ann Davis, owner, Hideaway Herbal Gift Shop by Jasmine Evans, owner, and Honesty Healthcare LLC by Tiffany Adjai, owner. Janine will be providing me with additional information related to programs and services that Bounce now offers for a non-tech startup and for entrepreneurs. They're quite proud of the progress they've made this year in getting that support. I hope in future council meetings to address additional progress for economic opportunity within Akron's Black community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Zager.
Good evening, Jackie Easley with Ward 4. I just have a comment. I just want to thank the city and the county for acknowledging the rubber workers of Akron, Ohio. I'm a child of a rubber worker, and may we never forget the rubber workers in Akron, Ohio. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Easley. Is there anyone else here in the audience that would like to speak during our public comment period? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public comment period and move into our committee assignments. Planning, Councilman Fusco. Public Safety, Councilman Kamer. Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian. Rules, Councilperson Keith. Public Service, Councilperson Keith. Parks and Rec, Councilman Neal. Economic Development, Councilman Swirsky.
12:30. Oh, economic development?
Yeah, 2:45.
2:45.
Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman. Public Utilities, Councilperson Samples. Housing, Councilman Kilby. Green Committee, Councilman Swirsky.
12:30.
Is there anything else coming before council? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Is there a second? Seeing no objections, we're adjourned.